Voltron's final season, Season 8, the end of an era, the end of a show so many of us hold dear. I have a lot to say about this season. Now, some of it was great. Unfortunately, the overwhelming majority of it felt off, but I do want to start off by saying that I love and appreciate Voltron so much. I'm so grateful for what it's been to me. I think everyone has that one thing that kind of drags you through the darker days. Voltron is that for me. I met so many amazing people through this series. That does not give them a free pass, however. So, with that being said, let's move on to the dead honest review part. No matter how much I love Voltron, I did not quite like this final season. And it doesn't mean that I'm per se mad about it, but I did get kind of confused and rather disappointed even. Sorry about that, my hair just reached critical length during that sentence, had to get that cut. Anyway, let's move on to what I think is maybe the most discussed point of Season 8, Allurance. Now let me start by saying I am not per se an Allurance fan, I'm a filthy clan shipper in my heart, but no matter what a ship they would have decided to make canon, as long as they properly wrote it, I would have supported it. Not the case with Allurance. Let's see, there were 3 hints they gave us for Lance's romance arc. Number 1, he would get what he needed, not what he wanted. Number 2, he would be someone's first choice. And number 3, it would be a slow burn. Now let's see. Yeah. Not what he wants, but what he needs? Oh, come on, he's been going for this girl since the first season, and she has been putting him down time and time again. What he needs is someone who appreciates him, who can support him, who can give equally, because the entire relationship between Lance and Allura just didn't feel like healthy balance to me. And it's kind of like Lance always is there for Allura and he can kind of lift her up and he knows what she needs, but she is there for him. She wants him to be happy, but she cannot support him in the way he needs. All that support came from Keith, and they didn't do anything with Keith and Lance this season, which kind of irks me. There were so many moments here, and they don't have to be of a romantic nature per se, but there wasn't really any depth to their friendship either. It's been leading up to this for 7 seasons, and the 8th season is just like, nah. Number 2, he will be someone's first pick. Definitely not the case here. Allura and Lotor, you know, that relationship, I really felt it. I didn't see it coming. I wasn't shipping it at the beginning, but it felt so right. It felt balanced, like they both got something out of it, and it just felt like they would make a power couple. They would be so great together. And Allura talked to the mice, and they told her Lance was in love with her and all those other things he said. She looked, well, not shocked. I mean, it was fairly obvious, but she seemed so uncomfortable, and after that she went on to kiss Lothar. Now, I'm not against that kiss, but I do think that if you say that Lance is going to be someone's first choice, and if they were intending for Allura to end up with Lance, if she knew Lance was like that interested and that serious about her, and then she goes on to kiss Lothar, it's very obvious she hasn't made her choice. And again, there's nothing wrong with the choice, but stick with it. You can't just switch to Lance like that. That is definitely either a rebound or choice B. That's not choosing him above anything else. That's not him being a perfect match. It took literally for a man to be yeeted into the void for her to be like, hey, Lance is kinda cute. Number 3, a slow burn. Come on, they said I love you on the first date. That is not a slow burn. No, just no. And I was so confused after the first episode because they went on a date, it all seemed to be going well. Like, congratulations, I guess, but it was never confirmed whether they were actually dating. He said I love you and they took a photo, and that's just like it. And then they were in a relationship, but they weren't being affectionate, and they were just being so professional about it. And I feel that if Lance were really, really serious about that, he would not be able to be that distant. He would constantly be looking for like confirmation, because they never really confirmed where they were standing, and it just doesn't feel like they could be like, okay, we're fighting a war now, we gotta be adults for a second, we can go back to kissing later. And they never really got over that point. We get a couple of cute scenes with them sitting together, which was so adorable, but the lack of actual build up to it kind of just, it didn't work for me. And the worst part is, it feels like DreamWorks just said, well, we want some cute romance in here. We're not really feeling it. You know what? It's fine. She's gonna die anyway. We don't have to build up because they don't have to be together anymore after this ends. Really? And I don't understand why they couldn't go with the Lotura vibe again. Because they felt so well built, so genuine, so happy with each other. And all I got from Lance's season was just uncomfortable and unsure. In my opinion, Lotura was just everything that Allurance lacked. And the second bad relationship, like, how many actual relationships did they have? How many relationships that were developed during this series? 3. 2 of them freaking sucked. That's 66.6%. I think that's a sign. So Shiro and Curtis, I'm not feeling it. It felt like he's just a random character, and sure, he's been in a couple of shots aboard the Atlas. He was cheering Shiro on while he was arm wrestling, but it feels like it's just in there because Shiro's ending was basically gay rep and Shiro finally took a nap. That's all we got. What is he doing now? He took a break from the battlefield? Are you kidding me? That doesn't give us any context. I guess at least now we know Shiro's type. 10 and nerdy. The thing I really appreciated about Voltron's earlier seasons was that Voltron was clearly not strong yet. It was a strong robot, of course, but they didn't know how to utilize all these weapons. They hadn't unlocked all the possibilities yet, and they were just struggling to figure out how they should fight. And now especially Paige, she was so brilliant. She just had tactics and theories and everything. They worked according to a plan. If they couldn't overpower, they would outsmart, and that is just brilliant. The writing, everything, it takes a lot of effort to do that. But that also makes it so good of a series. And now season 8, it just all went out the window. It felt like Voltron has become the series of convenient upgrades. Season 8 just kind of happened. There wasn't a reason, just, oh no, we're about to die, upgrade! And then they just combined the Atlas with Voltron, which was really weird. I don't even know who is where anymore. Like, there's so many limbs, there's too many paladins, sure, whatever. But the worst part is they got our OG crew together for the final battle. Except maybe Karan. And I just realized Karan never got to say goodbye to Allura. He wasn't there when she decided to sacrifice herself. She didn't leave a message for him. She just kind of disappeared off into the void, much like Lotor. And poor Karan. Did Karan even get a Where Is He Now panel in the end? I don't think he did. I'm gonna look this up. The Holt family, Hunk, Lance, Cullivan and Crowlea, Keith, Shiro. Why did Cullivan and Crowlea get a slide but not Karan? This is because we got so much exposition already when Lance was standing with Allura's statue and like talking to the kids. Where's Karan's panel? What? They did him dirty! Oh my god. That's just mean. Okay, while we're at the topic of Voltron then versus now, it used to be a show about magic robot lions. The accent being robot lions, not magic. We're focusing on the epic space fights and like spaceships and explosions, and this is great. But the focus shifted more and more towards magic during these final seasons, and that's fine. You can include whatever magic crap you want. I honestly don't care, as long as you keep us up to date with the rules and limitations of this universe. You can't just toss in magic and expect us to say, okay, well, it's magic. They don't have to justify. This isn't freaking Harry Potter where you just shoot light beams across our screen and it's fine. You have to justify that. And the use of magic really ties in with just what irks me most during this entire season. It's just nothing is explained at all. Let me give you a little example list. Keith's Galra trades. Why did it happen? How did it happen? No one talks about it anymore. I want to know. Lance's Altean marks, they just appeared. Is it contagious? Did she give them to him? Does Lance have latent Altean DNA? What is going on? Does it mean that he became Altean? Does he have a bigger lifespan now? Nothing is explained. They just throw it in because, you know, fuck it. Altean Lance, why not? What happened to Shiro's family? His parents, hello? Who is Matt's girlfriend? Aksha? And Keith still didn't talk. What happened to Zethrid and Azor to piss her off so freaking much? How does Allura's sacrifice even change anything? Full circle, we're back at magic again. I feel like season 8 was pitched as anything goes because magic and friendship. But I think in the end Voltron was just being too ambitious. It started out as a kid show, and you can see that by certain ways of dialogue and the space mice, all those things. It feels so cartoony, and that's good. That's a choice, that's a style. But then certainly a completely different target audience started watching their show, and they tried to kind of please everyone. They did not succeed. The focus is so on power of friendship and forgive and sacrifice, but then they sacrifice the actual depth and emotion that we were expecting. I honestly believe if they had just given it an extra season and just kind of spaced it out a bit more evenly, didn't rush it as much, it would have felt so much better and they wouldn't have to just cram everything in. During the 13th episode, I looked at the timer, I was halfway through, and I thought to myself, there is no way they could possibly solve this entire mess within 10 minutes. And DreamWorks said, watch me. So I did. And they utterly failed. There were so many loose ends, nothing gets explained, and we're just kind of left with an open ending. Now the bright side of this open ending is no matter how the series ended, you can just fill it in with your own headcanons because nothing is confirmed, anything is possible. And I just really need for Keith and Lance to at the very least become friends, because they just need that support. Keith needs to get something of his own, not just a team that he's traveling across the universe with. He just needs to be able to come home somewhere. And that doesn't necessarily have to be his home. If he has like a super close friend or something, that would be good enough. But for some reason they kind of butchered Keith and Shiro's relationship as well. I'm not just talking about romantic and ships, just Shiro was just kind of standing there the entire season, and there wasn't a lot of Keith and Shiro interaction. What happened there? So if you have so much to say but so little time to say it in, why does Voltron have so many filler episodes? Don't get me wrong, I love the filler episodes. I loved season 8's filler episode too. It was so cute, the documentary, the first person kind of POV. It was adorable. I would watch an entire documentary in that style. But if you don't have the time to give us such an episode, don't do it. Couldn't they just have left out the filler ep, use that time to properly explain the plot, and then if they want to, they can still produce the filler episode as a special? I would be thrilled to see something like that. Specials are amazing. But in my opinion, season 8 had 2 filler episodes, because the episode right after, Clear Day, which kind of sounded like Queer Day, that was basically a filler episode too. Clear Day was there to raise morale, to subtly shove Curtis in our face, and to get Allura alone on giant spaceship to touch the one thing they told her not to touch. Still salty about that. You should know better. You're in space. Don't freaking go touching things. So Clear Day was also a very cute episode, but again, totally unnecessary. There's like half an hour worth of time they could have easily spent on the plot. You know what I also hate? When everyone has to be good. You get a redemption arc! You get a redemption arc! Everyone gets a redemption arc! Man, this series just does not want to have any bad guys. Sargon, Hagar, Lotor, his generals, Admiral Sanda. Sanda, I'm sorry, but I am all out of pity points for her. The only bad guy who hasn't been redeemed in this series is technically Sandak. Guess he's the only true asshole of the show. Because the entire 8th season is kind of a mixture of Hagar and Honerva, kind of the same with her redemption. She has been portrayed as a terrible, terrible person who murders people, but she only does it because she loves her kid. And I actually started to feel bad for her. I genuinely wanted for her to just be with her kid and her husband and just have a good, normal life. But they pushed it too far. Then Lotor gets kind of redeemed through her flashbacks, which is complete bullshit. Because I loved Lotor from the beginning. I didn't get why they just killed him off like that. They did him real dirty. Oh wait, but he didn't die? He came back? But he's still dead? I still don't know what's going on there. They baited us so hard with that trailer. Still salty about that. But then we get all these adorable flashbacks of baby Lothar, and we see how good and how pure he really is. For 10,000 years, he's been basically tortured and taught that he was weak and that the true Galran way was the only way. Yet he stayed so strong for so long. He saved his people, that one planet, that he tried to work with the people, then his father killed the planet. So okay, I see what's going on. Lothar was good. He became bad, but we're now shifting that blame to his father. So Lothar's in the clear again, because he was actually really cute and really pure and innocent and sweet. Then they never really explain his motives for killing Alteans and taking their quintessence. It's just forgotten. Like, yeah, that happened, but hey, doesn't matter why. Never got into that. Then we go in Honerva's mind, and we kind of have a redemption for Zargon. Wait, didn't we just shift the blame onto him? Now we're gonna shift that blame away too? What are we gonna blame now? Just the quintessence? Because we go back to before he got corrupted. Allura's being a dick to him, by the way. I don't like... That's the reason why I don't like Allura's character, because of moments like that. Because she is the princess, she's supposed to be a diplomat, but sometimes she just like launches for people. She did the same with Keith when they figured out that he was half Galra. I honestly don't like just the way they went about that, and now with Zarkon too. And then just a few eps later, they confront Honerva basically in the same way, and all of a sudden she is all forgiveness and rainbows and sunshine. Voltron was just all over the place, and not just with their storyline, but also with their characters and their development and their personality. And then even Honerva gets an "oh, she wasn't so bad after all" moment. It would have been so powerful if they would have had Honerva fight for what she holds dear, fight for her son, fight for her husband, and in the end, having her do a bunch of things that are considered bad and leave it up to us to think about that. What does it imply? Where do you draw the line? Kind of make us think about the ethical part of it. Kind of raising a question, not a definition to good or bad. And instead they just kind of butchered it. They just preach forgive and forget, even though it's completely unrealistic and there's no character development involved at all. I'm about 90% sure someone at DreamWorks made an April Fool's gag list consisting of, but not limited to, Allura dies, but Lothar doesn't, Altean lens, Matt cuts his hair, Voltron and the Atlas, combination time. And then one of the animators got their hands on it and he was like, "Is this the new plot? I can do that." Now we're stuck with this abomination. By the way, I'm voting in favor of a full clear day ride, first person POV, bonus point if Hunk's your ride buddy. A VR experience where you can like look around and Hunk points out things excitedly. Can we make that happen? It could have been so beautiful. I do really respect Voltron for one thing though. They really care about their fan base. They're so dedicated to it that they want everyone to be equal. And we were. Because in the end, no matter what you shipped, no matter what you liked, we were all just disappointed. But seriously though, in the end, Voltron left us with a truly amazing gift. Just think about this for a second. Voltron traveled through so many different timelines. At some point, they were in a timeline where Clans was canon. I'm calling it right now. Any other ship you might have had. There's even a timeline out there with a proper Allura's arc. It happened. It's canon. Try and change my mind. What about Lance's broadsword? This season, Keith got a gun. He used it multiple times. Without it, he would have died. It made sense that he got the gun. It helped the plot. Lance got his sword seasons ago and we've only seen it once when he fought the old blue paladin in Hangar's mind. There was no one there who even saw it. I don't know if it really changed that much to the fight itself. He's faced off against sword users with just his gun before. I don't see how this was that much of a difference. It just feels like kind of an underwhelming reason to give him a sword, especially since it was all the way back. It's almost as if the only reason Lance got the sword in the first place was for Allura to compare him to her dead father, and they go building relationships off of that? I don't see it. Well, let's keep it at that for now. Honestly, I could go on for hours about this series and about this series, but I think I said most of what I wanted to say, and I realized that most of what I said was overwhelmingly negative. That however gives kind of a wrong perspective, I think, of the series, because there were a lot of good things as well. I loved how they, for example, implemented the Voltron 80s and how they kind of worked around Keith's wolf, that fighting style, all those things. I really liked them. I loved the filler episode, but I could name a whole list of cute little things and humor that I absolutely adore and appreciate. But when you review a thing, it's more about how they deliver the plot, how they write difficult situations, how they explain things, character development, relationship building. It just wasn't there, and that's why I think so many of the responses are overwhelmingly negative. But I think we shouldn't forget what Voltron brought us, and in the end, how you remember it, that's up to you. I'm choosing to kind of start clinging on to the positive side of it more, because Voltron is something very special, and I'm not willing to throw that away just because the final season wasn't as good as I hoped for it to be. Okay, I'm done ranting. Anyways, thank you so much for hanging out with me. Appreciate it a lot. This has been Desca. It's been an honor flying with you guys. And I'll see you at the next one.
Cheerio!
Up.